Welcome everybody to another Facebook Live from the Tailwind team. Today we're going to be talking about how to get more comments on Instagram, which is an exciting topic and we can't wait to get to dig in. We've got 10 really interesting tactics for you that you can use to get more comments. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Sarah James from whirl.com.
Hi.
WORRL, Whirl.
WHOORL.
I'm dyslexic, okay? That's my excuse. All right? WH, okay, etc., etc.
Yes.
And we can find you at Whirl on
Yes.
Instagram.
At Instagram.
Okay, and you are a beauty and lifestyle blogger.
I am.
And
yes.
You're a pretty successful one, if you don't mind me saying. And your Instagram, I think folks can learn a lot from. So we're really pleased to have you here for this Facebook Live.
I'm so happy to be here.
And we also have Melissa Megginson from the Tailwind team, who's going to be producing this episode. So she's the voice that you're going to hear coming over the airwaves. Hey, Melissa, will you speak to us?
It's me.
It's Melissa.
Perfect. Wonderful. So when you hear those dulcet tones, you'll know it's Melissa. And just so that you all know, I think it would be great for us all to share our Instagram profiles on the Facebook feed so that we can kind of get to know each other. It's a little community in there. So go ahead now and share your URL for Instagram. And so we can see, maybe we can grow some followers that way. We're at Tailwind App. What are you at? As we go through this, we'd really like you to give us your questions. Ask us things that you've been wondering about, how to get more comments on Instagram, and maybe some other broader questions too. We also have some special guests here today. Some of the examples that we're going to be bringing up, we actually have some of the people who were the original posters of those. So the people behind those accounts are going to be popping in throughout the day. So let's get started.
Let's get started.
And let's start talking about some of these wonderful examples that we have.
Okay, so the first thing that we will be talking about in regards to how to get comments on Instagram is why you should hold an Instagram giveaway or contest. And this first example comes to us from South by Sea, who is a clothing store targeted specifically at college kids and more specifically at girls in the Greek system. So girls going through Rush, going through sorority life, and having fun while hopefully getting great grades in college.
Of course, they're getting great grades in college.
They are,
of course.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to start with contests is that we've been looking at this data for the last sort of 3 months. We've been looking at what is working for Tailwind members when they post to Instagram to get comments. So these posts that you're going to see are examples that we're seeing commonalities of. When folks do this, lots of comments often result. And the biggest one of those is contests, by a long way. Last month, the top 10 posts for the amount of comments from Tailwind members were all contests. The month before, the top 5 were all contests. So when it comes to getting comments, contests can't be beat.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about this, Sarah. What do you make of this post?
Well, I mean, first of all, from just like an aesthetic standpoint, I love the photo. I love the font being used. I think that I'm just drawn to the beauty of the photo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it shows off the merchandise very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because I think most times I'm usually going to look at that first. That photo's going to drive whether or not I'm going to read what's actually in the text part of it. So it's just a lovely photo. And I like the way that they set this particular giveaway up. I don't think that they were joining in with anyone else. It was them themselves giving away these pullovers. And it was very easy to understand because I think there's some giveaways out there that just are too much.
That's so true.
Too much.
They
here's
have points,
what to do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
17 things to do, and if you get to the bottom of 17, maybe you'll have a chance of winning.
Right.
So I think it was very, very straightforward, and obviously got tons of comments.
And what about, this is quite a prize, right? It's these pullovers for a whole sorority.
Right.
I mean, how big is a sorority?
Well, it depends really. On
Okay, but it seems
yeah,
like
I mean,
I've seen Animal House. It seems like seems like a lot of people in a sorority.
Right.
Right. So on that image, I mean, I think that it's a good use of the model. I think is really perfect for that
Yes.
group as well.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's quite aspirational. And also, what about the timeliness, right? So
Right.
perfect time 5 weeks ago to be posting this, and the word cozy. I feel like cozy.
I like the word cozy.
Yeah, and that is cozy. It looks cozy.
Yes, and I really do. I really love the font. I'm kind of a font whore. I love font.
Fair enough.
So, I just enjoy that font. It draws me in. It's feminine yet modern.
Right.
And it's a lovely font. And I found that they've used that throughout.
Oh, have they?
Yes, on some of their other posts, I've noticed they've used that same kind of cursive font, but still kind of has that modern edge to it, which I like, which I think's nice. That it just is seamless throughout their account.
You can read it surprisingly well, considering
Right.
how nice it is.
Right.
And look at the way it pulls up over the mountain there. Like,
Yes.
that's really neatly done.
It is. And they took time on this photo, opposed to just. I mean, it could have just been a photo of the actual pullover, and
Right.
just think about how
Yeah.
much is going on with this now, and why that draws the reader or the follower in with everything there.
Right, and the concept of cozy itself is being uncomfortable and then wrapping something around it almost. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Which is
Yes.
what this does as well. So she's out there, she's exposed to the wild and the winds, etc. And there she is in her pullover, and that is cozy. So
Right.
I think that there's some nice interplay of opposites here. It tells the story nicely.
Absolutely.
So we actually, I reached out to Lindsay, who runs this account for South by Sea College, and I think she might actually be on the Facebook Live at the moment on the comment feed. Lindsay, if you have anything to add to what we've said, we'd be fascinated to hear why you think it worked and what the results were. Did this grow your followers? Did you end up with what was the sort of advantage to this? And did it work well for you?
And I do wonder too, did each member of the sorority comment? Was it, I can't see
Right.
towards the bottom of that.
So how the mechanics seem to work is anybody can comment, and you just have to tag another sorority sister.
Okay.
And then that whole pool of comments, they're just randomly going to select one. So
Right.
so if everyone in your sorority comments, and mentions somebody else, and also follows your page, right? Because that's in the contest rules. Then you're going to have like hundreds of opportunities
That's
to
a
win.
lot of people.
It is.
It is. I
And
mean, that spreads like wildfire, really.
So how many comments? I think how many comments do we have on here? I think it's like a lot. A lot.
I think it was like in the 4,000s maybe, or... Okay, I'm sorry.
52,000.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge, and just think
Right.
of all of these people that are being called out that are now thinking, I'm gonna follow this. So I would love
Right.
to hear what was the conversion on how many people started following South by Sea after
And then
this.
stayed following as well.
And stayed following.
That's
'cause
important.
That's really important.
Well, one thing that this has done is it very effectively targets exactly the right people.
It's
They're
a
talking
niche.
right
Yes.
into their demographic. You can
Yes.
bet that 90% of the people who got mentioned here are exactly their customers,
Absolutely.
which is awesome.
Which is always helpful to have that specific niche to go for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Melissa, any questions or anything like that on the feed, or should we head on to the next one?
Let's head on to the next one.
Alrighty then.
All right. So next up, let me get it pulled up here for you. Comes to us from Riley Blake Designs, who is a fabric manufacturer that specializes in really unique fabrics for people making all kinds of crafts, be it a quilt or little fabric squares here, just whatever your fabric needs might be.
Okay, so you go.
Oh, no, go.
No, you go ahead.
Well, the first thing I noticed with this when I looked at it, and this is not actually the photo, but I was reading through the rules, was very interesting in how they chose to run this giveaway.
Right.
In fact, they said that when we say stop, the last person to have tagged 2 friends in a comment wins.
Right, that's like the musical chairs.
It is. It's very musical chairs, which is something that I have not seen before.
Right.
Which is interesting, which I think gets people to move on it quickly.
Right.
Opposed to having an end date, let's say 7 days from now, and maybe some people just don't really sign up for it.
And how easy is it to administer that? I mean, you literally just go and go stop, and then you're the winner. Easy. I would like to hear how that went as well. I wonder how people feel about that, the followers doing that. If they feel like, is that fair? Right. Right. Are they just waiting for their friends to comment and then
oh, stop. There you go. Hey, I know you. You're my next door neighbor.
Right.
No. But that was interesting to me, and I like the photo too. I like that the font once again. I think goes very well in this whole quilting fabrics. Right. It's very cohesive. I like that it shows several different products of theirs. So not just one blanket, or it's like how this fabric, works across their platform.
Right. They've also got this tag 2 friends in a comment, and the difference in the way that these rules work, I think, is really instructive. In that there are no rules. Like, if you're running a contest on Instagram, the basic premise, basic what's required is you follow us, you like the photo, you start tagging people. Right. If you do those 3 things, then you're running an Instagram contest. But you can mix it up. You can do it however you want.
Absolutely.
And people will be cool with it. You just gotta list those rules. So I'm wondering if there are creative treatments on this. And at some point, I'd like for us to do another one of this, which is like how to run an Instagram contest, and we'll look and see which contests work the best, and then like what are the rules that seem to work the best. And so anyway, stay tuned for that. But yeah, like this one works well too, and I think the reason why we got 2 examples of this is just because contests are so big, and I think we just want to point to the fact that you can do it various different ways, and you can do it in different industries, and everybody can have a contest. In fact, Melissa, I think we should have a contest for Tailwind's Instagram.
All right, I'll get right on it.
Great idea, David. You were just on the ball.
Right, I know. We're just getting things accomplished left and right here.
So, I mean, obviously these giveaways do present an opportunity to have an enormous amount of comments too. What we're looking for as Instagrammers is to hopefully gain some more followers through the people calling out their friends.
Right.
I think one thing that you have to be concerned with, and that's not necessarily really focusing just on this topic of comments, but it's just making sure that you want to keep it authentic and you want to keep it organic. And I mean, I've run contests in the past where you have an influx of new followers, but are those new followers really following you for you and what you're creating, or are they following you because they just want to win a prize? So while I think giveaways are amazing, I think you really should be choosy about what you do and when you do it.
Right.
Maybe not so many of them, because I think that's when you run into seeing people that have tens of thousands of followers but aren't really getting the engagement that you would expect to be seeing. Right.
You want followers that will stick and that will actually engage with you.
Exactly, because that's really what it
So how do you get that with a contest? I think it must be something about choosing the right kind of prize that's going to appeal to your folks, and then positioning it in such a way that that people are sharing it with people who are your audience, your potential audience, which is a great example. This is a good example, but the last one is a great example too.
Exactly. And I think it's also a good point to maybe do a giveaway or a contest with some other Instagram people that maybe you look up to. Join in together.
Right.
So you are working as a team of Instagrammers, and maybe we all have one interest, but we have a lot of different followers.
Right.
And that's a really good way to get people over to you who actually be like, well, I really enjoy her Instagram account.
We see those. We see those kind of contests, so you're spot on there. That's definitely a good one, yeah.
Yeah, at least for driving that engagement that you want to see, because a lot of these other people that are coming to you from like-minded accounts, they really enjoy you, and it's not just for the contest.
Right.
It's because they want to stick around and see what you're producing.
Right. Okay, so Melissa, any questions on the feed?
We have a lot of questions about contests, and as you mentioned, we will be talking about that in the future, and I'll be going through and answering your questions later, but we're going to keep it on topic
because I'm
today.
talking too much.
Right. There's no such thing
Crack
as
the
talking
whip.
too much.
Move
Yeah.
on.
Sharita
Sarah.
actually said, any tips other than running contests? So she is in luck.
All right, we've got 9 more for you.
Nine more.
Yep, and next up is make it too cute not to comment, which I really think that Buzzbear Studio did a pretty amazing job with this. They are a creative outfits for happy babies. They create these adorable clothings for, these look like pretty happy babies here.
Right.
So I think they're hitting the mark.
Babies.
Yes, if you have a crying baby, we're not interested. Just
No.
give us the happy ones.
Give us the happy babies, please.
Look at that, so beautiful.
I mean, what do you say?
Yes. So what-
Babies,
well, it's
ketchup, mustard.
Right.
I mean, it's just how can you not comment? And there are those times, really, when just the sheer cuteness of a photo that you just cannot help but say, "Oh, hearts, love." I mean, I just. It's
and that's
adorable.
exactly what we've got. We've got heart eyes everywhere, and
Yes.
and also I think there's a lot of people here who are again tagging their friends in these comments.
Yes.
And it's that instinctive response to share this cuteness with somebody who's also gonna get it.
Absolutely.
Hey buddy, you're gonna love this. And likely a lot of those people that get shared this with have young children, so are
Yes.
potential, and even twins.
Yes.
If I knew somebody with twins, I saw this, I would tag them.
Oh,
you gotta
absolutely.
get this.
Absolutely. And I think that probably is what's driving the comments and then that engagement. Like you said, it's just, you can't help but say, I love this, but you also want some other people to see it as well.
Right.
And then it just starts spreading.
So interestingly, this is user-generated content. So these are onesies that these guys have, but the photo, and you can see this in the comment there, the photo is by somebody else. It's it says thank you at, and then the username for sharing. So they didn't even take this photo,
Right.
and yet 251 comments there from an account which isn't huge. It's a good size account, but no contest in sight, just cuteness.
Just cuteness.
All right, we've got another example of just
Okay,
cuteness.
bring it on.
We do. And this one comes from Kleinfeld Bridal, which if you're anything like me, you're obsessed with Say Yes to the Dress. It's my happy place. And Kleinfeld is the bridal boutique in New York City that is on Say Yes to the Dress.
Oh,
Okay,
I didn't know
okay.
that.
I did not know that either.
Okay, so I mean, what's going on here,
I
Sarah?
mean, weddings, puppies.
Right.
Come on. That's just amazing. In fact, it reminds me, I do not have pets myself, but I was holding this little blue pit puppy this summer, just a photo of 4th of July, and it went crazy because puppies,
Right.
people love puppies. And do you ever see something like this? Instead of holding bouquets, they're holding puppies.
Right.
It's just once again, one of those things, it's unique.
Right.
Very unique.
And
You're not ever thinking you would see this.
I think an Instagram video of her throwing the bouquet would have been really fascinating as well. So there's so many reasons why this works on a marketing level, but one of the big things that I love about it is they've taken what they do, which is bridal,
Right.
and then they've spliced it with something that adorably cute that you can't help but comment and tag your
Absolutely.
friends. And everybody has a friend who's considering a wedding.
Yes.
Not everybody, but most people.
Most people.
And-
Most people.
And I mean, this is just a fabulous thing to share with them. And that, again, is what we see here. So, again, they've managed to create a situation where their followers are sharing their post with their friends who are most likely to potentially become customers.
Exactly.
And like their feed, etc.
Exactly.
So it's just really clever. It really works. And 2,000 comments here.
2,000 comments.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that the 10,000 likes are great, right?
Mhm.
They really are. They're
Yeah.
great, and they will increase the engagement because it might appear in the top posts of one of the hashtags. That's great, but those 2,000 comments, 90% of them are out mentioning other people. So
Exactly.
we're talking about whatever that is, 1,800 people, bing, getting that message. Hey, you got to go see this post.
Absolutely. And I also noticed that with Kleinfeld Bridal that we have another one of their photos coming up
Right.
in this. And, they are user generated. So
Mhm.
it's a wonderful thing, too, that they're out, their social media team is out there and finding these photos for them
Right.
because they aren't original photos by
Right.
playing field. So it's good for them. They bring in those extra people and they put those photos up and people love it, and it's a great system for them.
Right. And one of the biggest problems that people report having when it comes to doing great on Instagram is, where do I get the content? Where do I get that much content? How do I figure out what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah. Yes.
You do
Absolutely.
a great job with that, though.
Thank
do you have
you.
any hints,
Thank
any
you.
tips for us? For us at Tailwind. Just generally for us.
Well, no, but generally for me, all mine is original content, except for sometimes I might find a quote or something, which I think we're talking a little bit later about things that are a little bit more provocative or whatever. But no, for me, it's just what I'm just really, I've just kind of nailed down certain looks that are expected of me. I do a lot of green beauty, and so there's a lot of makeup looks that I do and certain angles that I take. And so I just kind of follow that algorithm I've created for myself, but it really is just finding your voice and finding what works for you. Right. Which is probably, people are like, well, that's not really great advice, but really it is. You've got to stay true to you. The minute you start veering off and trying to do something else someone else is doing, in that way, it usually doesn't work. Right. People can tell.
Right. So I'm interested to wonder how Kleinfeld Bridal is how they go about searching for that content. Is it hashtags, branded hashtags where people can post their content, or are they going out and looking for specific accounts, etc.?
Yes, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And they might have a specific hashtag that they use. Show us your dress.
They do.
They do.
Melissa's
and so
nodding.
Yes. So they are just grabbing from that pool of great shots, which is amazing.
Yeah. Great.
Makes
it easy.
Makes it easy.
Okay, Melissa.
Okay, so before we move on, I just want to put it out there that Amy from Buzzbear Studio said that they gained about 200 followers from that adorable picture of the two babies. So that's
Thank you,
proof.
Amy.
That is
welcome.
Proof. Yes.
Yeah, that really is proof. I mean, that is a big day. That is a big day for anyone's Instagram.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, and so our next tip is to ask a controversial question. This one comes from Self Magazine, which, if you haven't heard of it, it's one that you can go pick up at your local grocery store. It focuses on exercise, healthy eating, healthy beauty ideas, just being an all-around healthier human being.
Okay. So, handle with care, right? Controversy. But this is a really great take on that.
Yes.
It's like a non-controversial controversy.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Not super controversial. I'm so mad.
Right. We all have that one friend who gets very excited about pumpkin spice. That's the quote. And then in the comment description, they say, Team PS or nah? And then 3 jack-o'-lanterns. So, what do you think's going on here? Why is it working?
Well, first of all, we all have that one friend who does get very excited about pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
So that's yes, I feel you, little raised hand emoji.
Yeah.
I got that. But also calling out people.
Right.
So you're getting that engagement when you're like, yeah, I know you, and I'm going to call you out right
Right.
now.
And it's almost a little bit passive aggressive, isn't it?
Totally passive aggressive. It's totally, isn't that funny? It's you. It's you. But just another way of just doubling, tripling the views on this and seeing the comments.
Yep.
People are wanting to call out their friends or foes.
Right. 5,000 likes, 1,000 comments. 1 out of 5 of the people, actually commented,
That's
which is remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah. And then again, look at all those app mentions, just tons of new people coming to this.
Very seasonal.
Yes.
Everyone's thinking about it right now.
Yep.
It's very seasonal. And it's very simple in the simplicity of the white and the black.
It just goes to show how simple it can be. If you got the concept right, the execution can be pretty straightforward, and you can really you can create something that really flies.
Absolutely.
Also, this is a good post for their audience. From what Melissa's telling us about their audience there, I think they know their audience well, and this is a good choice. Not so much of a good choice for, Guns magazine,
Guns? Is there a magazine called Guns?
Probably.
Surely. And our next tip is related somewhat to this, and it is asking a revealing question. So getting people to reveal something about themselves. And our example comes to us from Nude Yoga Girl, which you can probably guess what her name means. Most of her photos are safe for work, but are naked, doing just incredible yoga moves. And she's asking here, what is the main reason you follow me? And goes into a little bit of why that is.
Just fascinating.
That's the word I was going to use. Like, I am fascinated by this woman.
Right. Not just safe for work, but recommended for work. If you're at work right now, just hop on over and take a look at some of these incredible photos. So one thing that both of these have in common is a question mark,
yes.
right? So actually asking a direct question seems to provoke comments. Mm-hmm. I just want to call that out there. So yes. Let's be asking questions.
Yes.
And then she has an incredible insight into her audience. She basically lays it out. And if you go into the questions, the comments, they're nearly all like, yeah, I'm in this bucket that you mentioned.
Yes.
So she has an incredible grasp of who her audience is.
She absolutely does. And I just feel like this is one of those accounts that could kind of go either way with the comments, just given that she's new doing yoga. Mm-hmm. But like you said, she knows her audience. She's a yogi. Most of the people that are following her follow those same kind of principles. Right. And it's just, it's a very lots of the comments, it's super calming and inclusive. Yeah. And you didn't see a lot of, random.
Right. Yeah. Not a lot of, like negative kind of things.
Exactly.
And what she does is she's got, I really see her space as yoga and all the things that it stands for, like calming, etc. But also beauty and just aesthetic beauty in the way of sort of great photographers. It's sort of it's those black and white, beautiful portrait photography that is art. So what she's doing here I think is art. And even this picture, for example, right? Well, that's actually a picture of Kate Winslet. You learn in the comments. Mm-hmm. That she's holding up, and she's anonymous, right? So she doesn't tell everyone.
And she's never shown her face.
Never shown her face. Right? It's always sort of shaded. And even this photo is art. There is a high art quotient in this.
It's unbelievable. Her photography is amazing.
Right.
There's such fluidity, which I think just lends itself to yoga itself. It's just everything is so beautifully packaged. Mm-hmm. I could scroll her feed for hours.
And she very much has that algorithm figured out.
Yes.
So one of the things about this that is really interesting as far as why does this question work in my mind is that when I first saw this, which was when I found this comment, right? Mm-hmm. The question that was in my mind as I was looking at her stuff, or one of the big questions was, what is her audience getting out of this? Why are people following this? I think I know, but I'm fascinated. So it's literally asking the question that our audience are asking themselves already.
Yes, and absolutely.
Powerful, right?
So powerful. And like you said, when we said again, she has such a grasp on her followers. I really, and she knows what to ask, because someone else could ask this exact same question from a different account, and it could just have completely
If I asked that from my account,
why are you following me?
My mother would be like, because you're my son and I love you.
I gave birth to you. That is why. But no, this is just an example of just all around, just the beauty, the aesthetics, the wording, the way she uses her words, the questions she asks. She's just like, her finger is just on the pulse of her followers. It's beautiful all around.
I don't think we can say anything better than that.
No.
Thank you for that.
No.
Okay, our next tip is be vulnerable and people will relate to you and support you. And this example comes from Jamie Otis, who is a Bachelor contestant, and she shared a deeply personal, moving story in this photo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the death of her infant son, essentially, son, and it's just an incredibly moving photo and an incredible comment, an incredible description as well that is also sort of heart-wrenching, an incredibly brave thing to do, and the support that floods through, and the number of people who relate to this. It's incredibly human, incredibly touching. The photo is just most amazing. The looks on their faces, and this, I wrestled with whether we should present this because it feels so intimate.
It does feel extremely intimate, but also so authentic. Right.
It just touches you. It just touches you. So what
looking, I went into Jamie's account, was looking through, and so she was a Bachelor contestant.
Right.
I think this is one of those situations where when you think of The Bachelor and you think of what's being produced and edited and put out there, and it's kind of just so shallow and top line, and not that she is, but that's what she was a part of. And I saw a lot of her other photos or some selfies and this and that, and she's a very attractive woman, and to put something out like this that shows you that it's not just about the looks or the Bachelor, like we all have struggles. That's what I got from this when I saw, we all have struggles. I might look pretty and perfect, and you look at these photos, but this is actually my life and what's happening. I think people relate to that because everybody's struggling, and a lot of people have trouble. Like you said, it's such a brave thing to do. A lot of people would not have done that.
Yes.
Would not have done that.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't have the bravery to do that.
Yes. So it's just, I think it's so incredibly helpful in bringing a community together.
And
that this is happening all around, and it, for her it was losing this infant child, but there's so many struggles out there, and Instagram gets blasted a lot for just being so perfect. Everything is out there and it looks so perfect, and that's not life. And this is just one of those examples where this is life.
And she has a real point here that she's making, a salient point about this sweet boy should not be a taboo for our society.
Absolutely.
That this happened, and I can share this, and he can be part of my life. And,
yes.
And so there's she's thought about this too, and there's depth to her thinking as well. So all in all, just incredible.
It was just so lovely and heart-wrenching all at the same time. Very brave.
Okay. So Melissa, what's next?
All right. Up next, we are going to be asking people how they feel about these inspirational images. And this video comes to us from Elizabeth, who is an artist that focuses on botanical art, paper goods, and plants. And I'll go ahead and press play on this because it is pretty remarkable.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so what she's done is this is just over the course of one day. She brings the flowers in from the previous night, and they open in the warmth. And she did some time-lapse photography, obviously, and here it is. And it's beautiful. And what I feel about this is, just like the cuteness response was engaged before, here I feel the awe response is just the beauty of nature.
You see a lot of this with flowers, nature, landscapes. Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want to see something like this, or isn't even drawn in a little bit, especially with the time lapse? I mean, people love time lapse too. And I was looking at her other photos, and it's definitely botanical in nature. It's lots of flowers, and she kind of sprinkles in these videos once in a while, so it's not too much. It's not like that's not what she's all about, but once in a while she'll have like a time lapse or a small video, which I think really adds to the robustness of her account in general. And I mean, I could just watch this. Let's just watch this for the next 5 minutes. Let's just sit here. You guys don't mind.
And just feed our souls. So I mean, she's getting a lot of awe-filled responses. People are basically saying, "Thank you for bringing me this piece of beauty." And again, they're mentioning their friends, and I kind of take that as the nudge nudge. Look at the double rainbow.
Right.
It's when you see something like this, you want to enjoy it with somebody.
Absolutely.
And that's a commonality we're seeing in these posts that draw a lot of comments, is that they are inherently shareable. They are inherently something that you might often inherently something that you might, there's somebody out there that you want to share this with. And I don't just mean, hey, you look at this. It's an act of, hey, by sharing this with you, I'm saying something about you, or I'm saying something about our relationship, or I'm drawing you into a deeper relationship.
That's so true.
Through some insight that I have. Like, I know you'll love this. Like, enjoy it with me.
Right.
It seems to be what's happening here.
Yes. It's such a lovely little video.
Okay.
Now that we've been relaxed by the beautiful video, next up is using a way to show off your incredible talents, or even if they're not that incredible, making them seem incredible on Instagram.
Right.
And so here, I think Natalie, this beauty blogger from LA, is incredibly talented because she does her makeup better than I could ever dream to.
Yes, this is an incredible insight into a world
this is
that I have
speaking
no
my
idea.
language. I'm like, I could go on and on forever about this. Well, first of all, just the fact that you can do these minute-long videos on Instagram now, right? That, for a beauty blogger, and if you're speeding things up a little bit, you really can do a face in that time.
Right.
And so this is amazing, just how she goes through all the products and shows it. But what this is really driving comment-wise is not only are people thinking, wow, how did you just do that? You look amazing. This looks great. But you get a lot of questions about products. What are you using? Where did you get that? What shade is that? And it just starts this entire cascade of communication and conversation within this post. I find this has happened with me a lot if I'm doing beauty posts with specific makeup. People want to know, where do you get it? What color would be best on me? And then you find people are reading that.
Right.
All different types of people are reading that, looking for their answers. And it just gets to be such like a snowball effect. And I mean,
And this is that insight is applicable to all sorts of different types of accounts, right? Because what's happening there is somebody is demonstrating real expertise and then is answering questions about that throughout. So if you can show how something is done in depth in a way that just convinces people that you got it, then they will trust you and they'll ask you questions and they'll try to unpack the bits of it that they don't yet understand. And you can be that resource for them.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, if you're a brand, one of these brands that just got mentioned in this,
absolutely.
I mean, you're all over this.
Well, it's most likely they're going to regram it.
Right.
So,
that's a good point.
And a lot of these big, cosmetic companies have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, and then there you are on that. That's happened with me a couple of times with some products, and it's just you get a huge garnering of new followers when things like that happen. This is just amazing to me. She does such a great job, and I think it's also really important to point out that no matter what you're doing, whatever your niche is, that it is important to get in there in the comments and answer the questions.
Right, and she does that really well.
And there's lots of times that even maybe a couple days have passed, people are still asking. It's still important to go back there and answer those questions, because then that person feels like you have personally answered their question.
Yeah.
You're building community around your brand or what you do. And so it's really important to stay on top of that. Right.
Those 331,000 views for this video and 143 comments. Those 143 comments, they are qualitatively so much better and different than those views. And when somebody is giving you an in for a relationship that is of more weight, then you should take it, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Because that could result in them engaging with every post of yours, them telling their friends about you, them visiting your website, signing up for your email list,
absolutely,
etc.
Absolutely. And just to think that all of these cosmetic companies watched this and maybe regrammed it, and like you said, this could happen among any sort of subject matter. It doesn't have to be about makeup.
That app mentioning 10 different people and then using their branded hashtags, pretty brilliant as well.
Absolutely.
In that comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is actually pretty related to our next tip, which is to tag your friends who might be interested in a post or might be inspired by a post. And we've had a number of people comment that they're looking for some food ideas. So maybe if you guys, with this one, could talk a little bit about how specifically food bloggers, people displaying food, can get those comments.
Okay, I'd like to kind of start with that. So there's there's something that this post is doing remarkably well. And I know it's this post that's doing it because I was looking at other equivalent posts that they have out there that have not gotten anything like as many comments. Have like exactly the same type of post, exactly the same amount of likes, but 1/10 of the comments, or even less, 1/100th of the comments. Okay, so something about this post is encouraging people to comment and share with people in the comments. And I would posit that what that is that s'mores have an emotional connection for people.
That is true.
And an ego connection. We associate, there are people, and myself included, who have an egoic association with s'mores. I like to camp, me and my kids love waffles, I love making waffles. We love s'mores, and I'm just like, oh, that's so us, you know? And if you know me and you see this, you may well tag me in this and say, this is so you. And I say, yeah, you got me. And so what I would say with that is that that there's a power here that is being harnessed, and that's what we're seeing is the power of association or egoic association.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I have it in my notes right there too. It's just
high five. Oh, literal high five. As an Englishman, that's just very rare.
Oh, is it? Yeah, did that make you nervous?
It did. Yeah, I was like, oh, can I connect?
Are you okay? Do you need a second?
Well, you can give me a second.
Okay, just breathe. But yeah, it's the same thing. I see that. It reminds me of camping. You might not think that way if you see just some random piece of meat.
Right.
you know? Or like a chicken noodle soup or something that's like, you're like, oh, yes, I have the memories of that. And obviously, it's a beautiful photo as well. The photo is lovely. I mean, just like those toasted marshmallows. I want to eat that right now. It's a great idea.
It's very interesting and new as well.
It's very timely. It's, it was 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So we've got campfires.
Yep.
We are burning fires at my house right now, out in the back, some pinyon wood or things like that. So I think it's good timing. It's something that everyone has memories of.
Right.
And then I love that they say tag someone that they outright ask for it.
Yep, tag someone who would love
that would like this. Who knows how many tags they would have had they not said that. I mean, I'm sure they would have still had a lot, but they asked for the action.
So ask for the action. Set it up so that people can share, and then ask for it.
So we have a question from Kelly, and it's something that I'm curious about as well. She asks, what's the etiquette about including a link in your description?
Right. Good question. So, you want to go first?
Well, I don't know if I know the proper etiquette. Obviously Instagram has made it difficult.
Right. There's no click-through.
There's no click-through. So for me personally, I'm still doing, the link in bio. I don't ever like right here where you can see where you can go there. Some people who are looking at it on a browser or can copy and paste it. I don't do that personally just because I never do that.
I looked at that and it's less than 1% of Instagram's traffic is on browsers. And since you can't copy and paste very easily, at least from a mobile device, and then open up a browser, this is probably not that effective, except unless somebody can remember it. Like bit.ly/kitsch me s'mores waffle is kind of a lot, right?
Exactly.
So it's difficult. So the other option here, of course, is link in bio.
Right.
And what that means is Melissa, maybe you can demonstrate. We click through to Kitsch Me, and the one link that you do get that is a hyperlink that you can actually click is right here.
Which you could do from your mobile device.
Right.
I mean, it is one extra step to click back to the bio, but right now it's pretty much the only option where if you want to actually have a clickable link within Instagram.
Yeah.
And you can I usually hashtag link in bio, which I think most people are aware of now.
Yes.
But,
Yeah. So that's a good way to do it. And those are really your two options. They are share the bit.ly or whatever shortened link in the description, or a link in bio call out. And one of the challenges with link in bio that I just want to mention is that right now that is an older post, and so when we click through, it's not necessarily the link that was shared at the time that the post was shared.
Right.
So some people like to do both. They'll like to say, here's the link, find it in our bio.
Which makes sense, like you said, if someone's browsing weeks past and things like that.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so that's great insight. And next up, we have ask people to tag someone who might inspire you to look at the post. So Reverie is an engagement ring registry, which seems genius, honestly.
That is.
Isn't that smart?
I hadn't put that two and two together.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
really, really smart.
That's smart.
And so they're, of course, sharing beautiful pictures of rings. Like, hey, maybe you want to put this on your registry.
Well, and then the tag your gals. Hearts, tag your gals.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. I'd never read that before. Tag your gals.
It speaks to the audience, I think, really effectively.
Yes.
And what this is about is aspiration. You know, like I aspire to this. It's not necessarily, hey, everybody, everybody's going to go buy this right now or go do it. You know, you could do that s'mores waffle thing. It's not so hard, but this is tough to get. You know, that's going to be expensive. It's going to be a once in a lifetime purchase. But it's aspirational. So what does it say about you? Again, we're hooking into that egoic kind of drive, but in a slightly different way. Rather than like identity association, it's aspiration.
Absolutely. And I think it goes along too with just, there's a lot of people getting married or wanting to get married or even just looking at beautiful rings.
Right.
So like you said, it is aspirational. It's just something, it's a beautiful photo. I'm sure a lot of people saw this and thought, oh my gosh, so-and-so would love this. They call
Absolutely
them out.
right.
I do think it's interesting how they also have the accounts we love.
Yeah.
For ring inspiration, real rings, proposal stories, wedding ideas, which I don't know if they, with those four people, they collaborate and they all put that on their post, which is a great way of driving people to the different accounts and probably leaving more comments.
Yeah, and it's possible that all four of those are sort of owned by the same business.
Yes.
This seems to be an entrepreneurial venture. It might be a stable of businesses, but either way, it's a great, interesting concept.
Yes. And it's user generated. It's by someone else, and it's a photo by someone else.
Right.
So that's an unlimited amount of photos you can find of engagement rings.
Very cool.
Okay, and so our very last tip and last image of the day is be so funny that people have to share the joke. And this is our second one from Kleinfeld Bridal for the day.
Yeah.
So once again, a user generated.
Right. Yeah, they didn't go out and take this. They found it somehow, and
well, I think they did.
I'm pretty sure that.
I think that yeah.
Probably. But I mean, so what the word for me here is relatable. That's a person. It's just a few words, but it's a person that you can bring to mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And then again, you can share. And who's going to find that funny, or who passive aggressively is going to be annoyed by the fact that you think that they're like this.
Yeah. Totally.
And so it's got that shareability, that commenting shareability,
absolutely
baked in. I wish my perfectly detailed wedding plans included a fiance. in an English accent.
I think it's nice too, just from an aesthetic standpoint, looking at Kleinfeld Bridal's page when you're scrolling down looking at the photos and lots of Instagram, I think it's always nice to put a meme. I don't like to call it a meme because I feel like that conjures up images of like just blah on a page, but just writing once in a while, like it's something to say, but not a lot. But I think that people really relate to quotes. I know from my own personal account, those are big ones for me.
The same here for us.
The quotes. People love to read the quotes, and they love to share the quotes, and it reminds them of someone they know. Or
what have you learned about how to choose quotes that work?
I talk a lot about mindfulness. So usually mine are more in a certain subject matter, whether they're mindful or maybe something that's funny having to do with cosmetics or something. Okay. But I try not to do more than one every 10 to 12 photos. Because I'm just very visual. When I look at it, I don't want to see those blocks of text that much. Yeah. But especially right now, like in the political climate, there's been lots of options, lots of ways to put things up that people have really related to. And it's just going back to people going through the same issues. I feel like some of my posts recently about voting or the current political climate have been the most commented and the most liked. Right. So it's being timely, talking about something that lots of people care about and may have different opinions than you, but it burns a little, there's a flame that lights up when they're seeing it, but it has to be timely.
So there's something about humor I can't remember the exact quote, but basically to paraphrase it, humor is like the surprise revelation that you already knew of truth.
Of truth.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in that way, text like this can do that for you, right?
Yes.
Your brain automatically will start reading the thing.
Yes.
And then you can have that just pleasurable moment of, oh yeah,
Yes.
somewhere deep within me I knew that, and there it is right there, and that's very powerful to get people to engage with something.
Absolutely.
So easy to double click that or to comment. Again, because it's that association, and
Right.
I think we're speaking about that's a very strong theme here, right? Is that association?
Yes.
Talking to people and having them relate to what you're saying, and I think that it's one of the major drivers behind the whole of social media and how to be successful on social media.
I completely agree.
What a great deep moment to end on, Sarah.
You're so deep.
Gosh, I know. I surprise
my
myself
gosh,
sometimes.
Me too.
Well, you're not done yet.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
We have a question from Casey who asks, how often should businesses post on Instagram per day?
Mm-hmm. Well, the average is about 1.5 times a day. I saw a study that suggests that even after 4 times a day, and the 50 big brands that were in this study didn't see any drop-off in engagement, even after they were posting more than 4 times a day. So you can probably fairly safely post 4 times a day if you're scheduling them out throughout the day. And Tailwind is a great way to schedule your Instagram. We're about to launch Tailwind for Instagram here in the near future. And actually, Melissa, now would be a great time to share the page where you can go sign up for that. But that basically brings the same kind of scheduling that we have for Pinterest to Instagram, and allows you to push at the right times when your audience are engaged. So that's the other part of this, right? Which is, when are your audience engaged? If you have an international e-commerce business and you're operated out of Australia, then you're going to be posting to Instagram in the middle of the night an awful lot, and that's a challenge. So the question is, for your brand and your customers, at what point and what number of Instagram posts does the benefit of those Instagram posts drop off? So do you stop seeing engagement? Do you stop seeing new likes and new follows? And that's the point, which is too much. And just from my own reading, less than from my own personal experience, it's probably somewhere between, it may be between 2 and 4, but it may be also between 4 and X number above there. You should certainly be able to post every day without problem.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Sarah?
I think 2 to 3.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I like how quick you answered that. It's a good antidote to my verbosity.
2 to 3.
Nice and simple there. All right, and if you guys have any more questions, please throw them in the comments. We will be answering everyone after the fact, and you will be able to watch this in its entire glory after the video is done streaming.
Right, and I just want to mention that if you want updates about future episodes of this, we would love to have Sarah come back at some point in the future, but we do this every 2 weeks for Instagram at the moment. Every 2 weeks we're doing Pinterest, what to pin in X month. Then we'll share a link to where you can sign up to the email list, where you get advanced notifications of these Facebook Lives and of other blog posts that we have coming out. So definitely sign up there. And that just leads me to quickly, I was thinking about rounding this up, but you know what? And you guys get it. You guys know what's going on. We don't need to go through it anymore. I just have to thank Sarah. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was fun,
so much
right?
fun. Yes.
Give me 5.
Oh!
Okay. Where can folks find more about you?
You can find me at Worlds, WHOORL.com is my blog, and I'm pretty much whirl across all platforms.
Yeah, you are.
Very easy. Very easy. Yes.
Okay, great. And thank you, Melissa. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope that it's been educational and that you can go up there and light up those comment feeds with all kinds of new folks enjoying your content. So that's it from us. Love you. Bye.
Bye.